Hi guys, today we're going to be learning about combining like terms. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of define some of the things we need to know for this. And the first thing we want to learn is term. So term is a set of coefficients and variables, or just numbers sometimes, that are separated by a plus or minus sign. So each of these is a term. A coefficient is the number that we are multiplying by a variable, and that makes 3 and 6 coefficients. An exponent is a number that tells us what we are, how many times we're multiplying a number or a variable by itself. We're not going to use that right now, but I just want you to know this little number up here, that's our exponent. And then, of course, our variable is our value that we don't know, usually represented by a letter. So those are the different vocabulary words we need to know for this. We'll move on to actually doing some combining like terms. I decided to do this after and didn't want to re-record, but here are the different actual definitions. So a term is a single number variable, or numbers and variables, so in this case number and variables, multiplied. Terms are separated by plus or minus signs. So one term, another term. Coefficient, the number being multiplied by a variable. So here's our variable multiplied by 3, so 3 and 6. Exponent is that higher and smaller number, so physically smaller and physically higher, not like algebraically or mathematically, just position-wise. Tells us how many times to multiply a number or variable by itself. And a letter or symbol that represents an unknown value, those are our variables. So just to totally repeat myself. Okay, so grouping like terms, when we are looking for like terms, this being the important word here, we're looking for terms that look like each other. They have the same variable and they have the same exponent. So if I look at 12m, what I want to do is look at all the rest of these and look for anything that has an m. So this is 5m. That is a like term. Doesn't look like I have any more m's. So -9 doesn't have a variable or an exponent, and generally it doesn't have a variable. So if it's just a number, just a constant, and that's one of the terms, vocabulary terms I forgot to mention, a number by itself is just a constant. So -9 is going to go with 8, that also has no variables, and 10, that also has no variables. Let's see, 6x squared. So we have 6, and then it's being multiplied by x squared. So we need to look for other x squareds. It can't just be an x because we got to have the same exponent as well. So if we look for the other x squareds, we've got -5x squared, and we've got -3x squared. So the next ones, we've got x and 4x and 6x. Those are all like terms. Same letter, same variable. What's in front of it doesn't really matter that much. And then for our last one, oh, no, not last one. We have 8xy, and we have 4y left. Neither of these has another one. xy is not the same as just y, so I need to find another color for 4y because it also doesn't have anything else to add to. So 8xy and 4y couldn't be combined with anything else on the screen. So then the main way we use combining like terms is in expressions, and then we're going to start using them next class in equations. And we want to combine like terms. Just an FYI, once we get there, don't ever combine like terms if they're on opposite sides of the equal sign. But for today, we're not going to have any equal signs. So this is what I do every time, and I literally do this as I look at my first term, I have 3x, and then I want to look at the rest of the expression, plus 5y, that's not an x, so it's not the one that I want, and then plus 8x, that has an x, so I've got a 3x and I've got an 8x, so I'm going to put an underline here, and then I have negative 7. So I'm going to take those two like terms, 3x plus 8x. So if I have 3 x's and I add another 8 x's, then I have a total of 11 x's. So you just multiply those coefficients and the x itself stays exactly the same. Just like if you have 3 oranges and I give you 8 oranges, then you have 11 oranges. So the fact that it's an orange or the fact that this is an x doesn't change. And if you guys could see me, I'm sitting here doing all these hand gestures that you can't see. Then what you want to be careful about is that you need to drop down anything that you couldn't combine. So we have a 5y and we have a negative 7. We can't combine those with anything because the negative 7 doesn't have a y. So I'm going to drop down the plus 5y. And I'm going to drop down, here's another important piece, any number, the sign in front of it needs to stay with it. So if it's a plus, well, these two are going to combine, but this is 3x plus 8x, this is plus, so that plus needs to stay with that 8. This minus needs to stay with the 7, so that needs to be minus 7. So if I'm just writing the whole thing again in the same color, 11x plus 5y minus 7. And that's the most we can reduce this, or simplify this. Pardon me. So once again, I'm going to do my same thing that I always do. This is a little bit longer, so I'm going to add a little thing that I also do that helps. So my first term is 3x squared. So I want to look at all the rest of my terms. They have to have an x and that exponent 2. So 3 to the second, not 3 to the second, I'm sorry. X to the second, or x squared. There are two different ways of saying that. I have 6x here, but there is no exponent, so these two are not like terms. Minus 8x, also no exponent here. And then 6x squared, that does have an x to the second, so these two are like terms. So I'm going to go ahead and underline those. And I'm going to go ahead and just add them. So I've got 3x squared plus 6x squared. The fact that this is x squared is, it doesn't matter to adding them. We're still going to add the coefficients. This is 3 plus 6, so that's going to be 9, and then the x squared stays the same. And then now that I've written them from this step to this step, I'm going to go ahead and cross them off up here so I know I don't need to do anything with them again. Then I'm going to go to my next term, 6x. So I'm going to look at the rest of this. I've got negative 8x. Those two both have x's. Just straight plain old x's. And then I have a plus 6 over here. No x with this 6, so I'm not going to do anything with it. Not right now anyway. So 6x minus 8x. 6 minus 8 is a smaller number minus a larger number. So I'm going to have this that's going to be negative. Sorry, thoughts not coming together right. So this is going to be minus 2x. And because I've simplified that part, I'm going to cross those off. And then all I have left here in any of my expression is this plus 6. Can't combine that with anything, so I'm just going to drop it down to the next row. So when I rewrite this, you don't really have to rewrite it at this point. I'm just going to put it all in the same color. This is 9x squared minus 2x plus 6. So now you're going to go get some more practice with this. And then next time, after we come back from the break, you guys will work on solving equations with like terms.